Dear Dr. Oppenheimer, in view of allegations which raise questions as to your veracity, conduct, and even loyalty, your employment on Atomic Energy Commission work and your eligibility for access to restricted data are hereby suspended, effective immediately.
In 1954, 10 years after the atom bomb was dropped over Hiroshima, this man was examined by the United States government as a security risk. J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atom bomb. At Los Alamos, New Mexico, Oppenheimer led the team of scientists who made the first atom bomb. When it was tested, a line of the Bhagavad Gita ran through his head. I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. After the war, he was the United States government's chief advisor on the use of atomic energy. Then, in December 1953, he received a letter suspending his security clearance. This was the McCarthy era.
If there were no communists in our government, why did we delay for 18 months, delay our research on the hydrogen bomb, even though our intelligence agencies were reporting day after day that the Russians were feverishly pushing their development of these bombs? And may I say to America tonight that our nation may well die, our nation may well die because of that 18 months deliberate delay.
As a young man, Oppenheimer had been curiously remote. He didn't own a radio and he never read a newspaper. A political innocent, he had been, to use his own words, a member of practically every Communist Front organization on the West Coast. At this time, both his wife and his brother were party members. The letter from the Commission alleged, 1, that his past communist sympathies made him unfit to continue to serve his country. 2, that contrary to national interest, he had opposed the development of the hydrogen bomb. In April 1954, at Oppenheimer's request, a security board was set up to hear the case. The official transcript throws extraordinary light on the relationship between the individual and the modern state. No attempt has been made to tell the story with an American accent. Oppenheimer's lawyer, Lloyd, waived his fee, regarding the job of defense as a public service. Roger Robb was counsel for the Security Board, and the members were Dr. Ward Evans, a distinguished chemistry professor, Thomas Morgan, the recently retired head of a large industrial corporation, and the chairman was Gordon Gray, president of the University of North Carolina. He had been Secretary of the Army in the Truman administration.
This board is convened to enable Dr. Oppenheimer to present any information he considers appropriate. I should like to remind everyone that this is an inquiry, not a trial. We shall approach our duties in that atmosphere and spirit. Dr. Oppenheimer, have you been given an opportunity to challenge any or all of the members of this board?
I have indeed.
I should like to ask Dr. Oppenheimer whether he wishes to testify under oath.
Surely.
You are not required to do so.
Best.
J. Robert Oppenheimer, do you swear that the testimony you are to give the board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Much of his early testimony is about the war years, the task of getting the bomb laboratory started, and his work as director.
In the autumn of 1942, I showed General Groves the city of Los Alamos. He moved with incredible dispatch to acquire it. At that time, among scientists, the name of the uranium project was not good because work had been going on for a number of years without any very great sense of direction. And there was great fear that this was a boondoggle, nothing to do with the war we were fighting. We stole a cyclotron from Harvard, some accelerators from Wisconsin. Everybody arrived with trunk loads of junk and equipment. I got to Los Alamos towards the end of March, and by June we were finding out things nobody knew before.
You were under a great deal of pressure.
My directive was to lose no day in preparing an atomic bomb. When the time came, there was a great deal of discussion about the desirability of using the bombs on Japan. I was asked to serve on a panel with Ernest Lawrence, Fermi, and Compton.
3 Nobel Prize winners.
We were asked to comment on whether the bomb should be used. We said we didn't think being scientists especially qualified us to answer this question. Opinion was divided among us, as it would be among other people if they knew about it. We didn't know beans about the military situation in Japan. Hiroshima was, of course, very successful. We'd been over the target in committee, and the targets that were bombed were among a list that seemed bright to us. The Secretary of War deleted one. I've always been glad he did. That was the unbombed and culture capital of Japan, Kyoto. He struck that off.
In 1947, when the Cold War was underway, Oppenheimer was appointed by President Truman to the General Advisory Committee of the Atomic Energy Commission. 6 years running, he was elected chairman by his fellow members. As chairman of this key committee, he exercised an immense influence over the whole field of atomic energy, including the research and development of the hydrogen bomb. In a very real sense, the security of the nation rested in his hands.
Very early on in the game, we on the committee thought it important to see whether we agreed what the job of the Atomic Energy Commission was. The nature of the advice we gave would be dependent on that. Without debate, I suppose with some melancholy, we concluded that its principal job was to provide atomic weapons, and good atomic weapons, and many atomic weapons. I ought to say that at our first meeting or two, we brooded to a very considerable degree on the thermonuclear program.
Now, that story really begins, I take it, with the first Russian explosion of an atomic bomb on September 23, 1949.
During October, a good many people came to see me, or called me, or wrote me letters. Dr. Edward Teller arrived. He told me he thought this was the moment to go all out on the hydrogen bomb program. Dr. Better arrived. He was very worried about it. He will testify.
About what?
About the thermonuclear program, whether it was right or wrong. It was not clear to me what the right thing to do was.
To you or to him?
To me. The General Advisory Committee was called to meet in Washington on two questions which were obviously related. First, were there things which the Commission should now be doing or undertaking in the light of the Soviet explosion? Second, was crash development of a super hydrogen bomb among the things that it ought to be doing? To the Commission's question, were they doing enough, we answered no. On the other issue, there was surprising unanimity, to me very surprising, that the United States ought not to take the initiative at that time in an all-out program for the development of the thermonuclear weapon. I'm going to read from our report, from the section on super bombs. We all hope that by one means or another, the development of these weapons can be avoided. And this is the crux of it. There's a strong negative statement. The minority appendix says, the fact that no limits exist to the destructiveness of this weapon makes its very existence and the knowledge of its construction a danger to humanity as a whole. It is necessarily an evil thing considered in any light. The other appendix, which I signed, is not quite as ethical and fundamental, but it says in the final paragraph, in determining not to proceed to develop the super bomb, we see a unique opportunity of providing by example some limitations on the totality of war and of eliminating the fear of mankind. I think it is very clear that we did not like the weapon. Not that it couldn't be made. My feeling about the delay in the hydrogen bomb, and I imagine you'll want to question me about it, is that the question of delay is key to the question of invention. And I think the record should show that the principal inventor in all of this business was Dr. Edward Teller. It's not been quite a one-man show, but he's had some very, very good ideas, and they've kept coming. On January 29, 1950, the President announced that we